Alright guys, so I'm back with another video. I'm just going to give you a real quick update on this. I did change the way that this fires. I'm going to go ahead and show you. So the pistol is going to be off because the pivot is different than the rifle. So I can only get one of these right. So I still need to do some work on those too. But yeah, you're probably going to have to reorient the origin of that of the pistol to align it with the rifle. Otherwise, they'll both be off, and I'll have to try to find a median between the two, you know? So I may fix that at a later date, but I would have to redo all my other animations, the pistol animations, in order to fix that, and I just don't have time this weekend. So I may fix that in the next update. Yeah, that was a bug. I may have to look into fixing that as well. I'm not sure exactly what just caused that, where the arm swung around. Yeah, okay, that's a bug. Sorry guys, I'll have to fix that next update. There's a few other bugs too that I'll have to fix later. So right now I do have the SmoothSync plugin. It's $20 on the marketplace. I had to use that in order to test my replication. The plugin will not be included in the project because it's a marketplace asset that costs money. But yeah, so you'll see the projectiles are in fact replicated. So dedicated server, there is some problem with it. If somebody knows what causes this, let me know. And so you'll see that the projectile is spawning in the wrong place. I don't know what's causing it. So, yeah. Oh, that's interesting. That doesn't seem to be replicated. I might have to try to replicate that, I guess. So I'm going to go over some things. Oh yeah, I didn't show you this, but let me go ahead and show you this. So that's the rifle reload and the pistol reload. I did not modify these for these weapons. These are Lyra reload animations, guys. I have not modified them. I might modify them and fix them to make them look more appropriate later, but right now I'm not going to worry about that. So I'm going to go over what I did here and here. So this prevents the feet from actually being changed by anything that's played on this. And all it's doing, this stuff is not necessary actually. I don't know why I had that there. I think I might have been testing something and forgot it was there. But yeah, anyway, I'm just, the virtual bones, these three bones right here are being taken from this right here. Yeah, so actually ignore that. I am going to remove that. I did have this over here hooked up right here, and in that case it would work. Yeah, we could still make use of that, but we would have to paste this right here. So that will get the feet from this before the montage was played, and it'll make sure that the feet stay where it is in the locomotion animation, which he may be in the idle pose, for example. And it'll make sure his feet stay there. That way, when you're playing this, his feet won't be offset from where they are. If you don't want this to be affected to affect the montage that's playing, you can either just bypass this from the post slot and just don't layer the pre-slot onto the virtual bones, or you can disable IK on the animation. I'll try to think of a better approach to this, but this is a slight kind of bottleneck, and I'll explain to you why. So when we need to play something on the upper body, we need to be able to blend out of this, but we can only blend in and out of the source, which is the overlay state. And so the motion matching on the lower body, it never blends out. And so whenever this starts blending out, this right here causes a conflict with this when it's blending out, and it causes oddities. Now, the approach that I'm using here is actually used in Lyra. That's actually where I got the ideal from. And this is how they overcame that problem as well. So if you open up the reload animations, you'll see I'm playing on the pre-layering upper body slot and the upper body slot. And that's because if I don't, it'll only blend in and out of this right here. And this will cause problems with that. When it's blending out, it'll jerk and look real snappy. And that's the reason why we're having to play those on 2 slots. So yeah, just to show you again. So it looks smooth there, but if I just bypass this, you'll get to see what it looks like. You see how jerky that is? It didn't really look bad on that one, but on this one, the way it blended out, it was really bad. Yeah, so it doesn't look bad on the rifle, but it looks bad on the pistol. You could also adjust the end of the animation where it ends, and you could stop the animation right here, and that is 1.65. And if you do that, and you don't play it on that slot, you only play it on the upper body slot, that might fix it so that it looks smoother. No, it doesn't fix it. So yeah, I don't know what to tell you about that, guys. This is going to be the only fix for that I know will work for now. I'm just going to, oh, I modified the wrong one, didn't I? Yeah, there we go. Yeah, that's where I stopped that one at. So, sorry, I'm kind of like zoned out today. Let me see. So we would want to probably at 1.6. So it was at 2.0. And now we can test and see if that will actually fix the problem. It'll probably make it look smoother regardless, especially whenever running and reloading. No. Yeah, so we're going to need 2 slots, guys. I figured as much. That's going to be the only way to get around that problem. So basically, and you're not playing these additively, if you do want it to be an additive, then on this slot, it can't be an additive. You need to apply this normally. And then if you want, you can play on the upper body additively. But in actuality, since we're layering, you don't need to play those as additives. So that's why I did that. Like I said, right here, I am layering the pre-slot, this right here, before we play these montages. I'm getting the virtual bone positions and putting them where they are on the locomotion animation. What that does is whenever we apply leg IK later on, the leg IK will place the legs in relation to where they are on the lower body, the motion matching, locomotion, and not on where they are in the montage. And so what that does is it prevents the feet from moving where they are if you're playing a montage. If you want to bypass that, you can either just connect post slot into base pose, or you can just disable IK from your montage. So you can add a metadata disable IK right here. And if you want to disable only hand IK, you can just add a disable hand IK metadata on it. And I'll show you that now. So I did modify that portion of it. If you go to the aim offset, you'll see that I added this right here. So if this or this is greater than 0, then that will be the alpha. Whichever one of these is greater than 0 will be the alpha. Disable IK takes precedence over disable hand IK. So if you say disable IK, you're disabling all IK, hand and leg. Otherwise, you can just disable hand IK without having to disable leg IK. I might add a leg IK one specifically for leg IK, kind of like that later on, but that's not a bad idea actually, but I didn't really need it for now. So I replicated a lot of stuff here. You can go through and look at how I did it. I may have to revise some of this later on to make it a little bit better, maybe a little bit more responsive. So I know in a lot of cases, what people do is on the client, if it's the client and this is locally owned, then they'll just go ahead and have the client set his value to whatever, and then they'll have the server replicate it to everybody else. Right now, all I'm doing actually is I'm just having, if it's a client, whoever calls this has to tell the server, and then the server will replicate it back to them and everybody else. That's how I have it set right now. But in some situations, you don't actually want it to be like that because then there's latency on the client. So I may revise some of this later on. In fact, I'll most definitely revise some of this later on so that it takes stuff like that into consideration. I am aware that that's a common technique and a common approach to that, and that some of this that I have set up the way that I do is probably going to cause some kind of latency problems, but I'll fix that later on. Now, the guy that made the SmoothSync plugin I told you about on the marketplace, it's $20 if you want it. He replicated the base aim rotation, and inside of here, actually, I replaced that with the base aim rotation. So I was actually using this, the get base aim rotation. I don't know. He says it's not replicated. It doesn't say it's replicated. Maybe it's not replicated, but I didn't have any problems using just this. He replicated it and used this one. So maybe there was a reason why. So that's what I did. I just kind of copied how he had it set up. That's the only thing I really copied from him. So some of the stuff in his may actually be done more appropriately than mine, or maybe it isn't. I don't know. I guess that would be up to you to decide. Like I said, I will revise this later on, this whole replication thing, but everything is replicated in here. The strafing, the aiming, blah, 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 so on and so forth. Now, in the on the event graph, let me go to the event graph. I have this set up. This is kind of like a generalized play layered montage. And if you check disable movement, it'll disable movement after it starts. So I'm using that for the dance one and for the reload right here. I am replicating the projectile inside of here. So I'm replicating the movement, and yeah, it's set to replicates. Now, whenever you're firing it from a dedicated server, there are problems with its location. I think I may have shown you that. I don't know, but I'll go ahead and show you again. So you'll see it's offset down. But when that's the dedicated server, if you play it from a client, as you can see, client 1, if you play it from a client on this one, you'll see it's in the right location. That is a known issue. I will look into that later. I don't know what's causing that. If somebody else does, let me know. I removed all that other stuff that I had on here. So if we go over to the widgets and we open this up, and we just select one of these and just double click it, you'll see somebody else, I can't remember who, I'd give you credit if I remembered, but they asked me, why don't I just attach this rather than doing it the way I was? And it actually makes more sense this way because it prevents me from having to go into each and every single one of these and change the logic, and it makes it easier for you guys as well. So that's what I did. So whenever you switch over to one of these guys, it'll just retarget it. And because now I am actually improved the weapon stuff on here, and I made sure that all this was replicated properly. Some of it was not replicated properly, so I replicated it properly to the best of my knowledge. I'll have to go back and I'll look over it and refactor it at a later date. But you'll see I'm using that replicated base aim rotation right here for the sake of where we fire it, or the rotation at which we fire it from. The actual held object, socket location muzzle, and forward vector is what dictates the location. I don't know why that doesn't work for a dedicated server, but it does not. It passes that on to the clients and says, hey, this is the location you need to spawn this at. This may be a bad a bad approach. I'm just assuming that it's passing in a location, but I'm probably wrong. If it's passing the anim montages and sound around on the server, then this is not the right way to do it. That would be really heavy if that was the case. I didn't even think of that at the time, so that might be something I refactor just simply because it's going to cause a lot of traffic on the server. Just letting you know. So yeah, I think that pretty much covers it, guys. I'll get this out, and maybe in the next one I will add that idle, a new idle to this with some transitions, and I'll see you in the next video.